So we're doing the Melbourne racing preview thanks to topsport.com.au, and I'm joined by Trevor Lawson. How are you, Trev?
Good, Mark.
Back to Flemington tomorrow, and looks like a pretty reasonable day's racing. It's the Andrew Ramsden, which is the free ticket into the Cup, so good staying race.
Yeah, it's a good race. It's back to Flemington, and the weather should be pretty good. We've had no sort of rain since early in the week, so you'd think the track would be, just have a little bit of give in it, and that's it. So it'd be sort of a pretty good sort of winterish sort of track, even though we're not quite in winter yet.
Yeah, we've had a bit of pretty cold mornings, but the bit of sunshine out. So yeah, are you be having a look at the track today? Or?
No, I'll speak to someone that will have looked at it. So yeah, I'll sort of know something around lunchtime.
Okay, no worries. All right, we might jump straight into it, and we'll have a look at the quaddie league. So race 6 is the Andrew Ramsden. It's over 2,800 metres, and yeah, as we said, free ticket in the Melbourne Cup. So just looking at Top Sports Market, King of Leogront's 245 favourite from Too Close to the Sun at 420, Ocean X at 6, and Dark Alley at 750, and they got everything else at $20 plus. So it seems to be a race in 4. Would you agree with that?
Pretty much, yeah. It's sort of a little bit tricky in that, King of Lee Grand hasn't raced since winning the Adelaide Cup, so it hasn't raced for 68 days. But we saw with Russian Camelot winning the South Australian Derby that, Danny O'Brien can basically get the horses fit without having to run them. So this horse was impressive at Moorfield. Showed a great turn of foot. Break 12 seconds last 200 at the end of 3,200. Break 35 seconds for the last 600. So it sort of walked in. He's given it 2 sort of jump out since. He didn't really knock it around, but you would think it'd have to be pretty fit at this distance, because if it's not, it's just, over this sort of distance and not being fit, you can sort of really sort of, knock the horse around a lot. So it's flying, gets Damien Oliver. Oliver's record on staying type horses is just terrific. And he's a good rider at Flemington. So it's definitely the horse to beat. I've got it a bit longer than the market. Like at the moment, my market's 90%, and the markets are 125. So it's probably a similar price. Just sort of see what happens with it. Too Close to the Sun. It's flying. It did a good job for us winning the Melbourne Cup. It can repeat here. It can still hold. It's just in good form. Race on the speed. It looks to be the leader. It's honest. The other one that's in the market, Dark Alley, sort of found this a bit hard to sort of price. The Geelong run, it just won easily. He sort of took off and beat Big Sur, which is no star. But he looked very, very impressive. But the start before, he basically raced with King of Lee Grants, and he actually got onto King of Lee Grants' back at the 600, and King of Lee Grants just ran away from him, and beat him home sort of 6.7 lengths. So he was sort of eased down the other day. I haven't given him anything for that, but I've sort of got him longer than the market. I just thought if I took a line through King Lee Grants, it's hard to see him making up to 6 lengths, even giving for one sort of not being fitter, not as fit as what it was. And the other one in the market is Ocean X. It's Honest Mare won the Matriarch Stakes at Flemington during the carnival over 2,000, and the last start was a small field and basically sort of had the run, sat behind the leader, raced handy and sort of was too strong. over 2,500. So it gets in well at this race. It's sort of weight for age, so it's got a chance as well. So yeah, so I sort of got three main chances and then sort of Dark Alley.
Yeah, what sort of price you got Ocean X?
So I got Ocean X about $4.80. So I've got it sort of slide overs. I've got Too Close to the Sun around what price it is, and I got the favourite slightly longer. So sort of want to see a bit of movement in the market before.
Yeah, it looks like a bit of value on Ocean X, and the others will just have to see what happens with the market when a bit of percentage comes out.
Yeah.
No worries. Race 7 is the Lexus Trophy over the 2,000 metres. Rupture odds on here, $1.90 with Top Sport from the returning Chabau at $6.50, from Starcaster at $7, and Dedoo's Dart at $10. You got Rupture that short?
No. Well, sort of was good the other day. Produced a peak figure, found the front, kept going. I've sort of rated it to that and got it 2-1. So can't get anywhere near those odds. But again, there's the markets, they're over 140%, so there's a lot in them. But it's definitely the horse to beat. I thought Mohammedaeus, if they can run on, it's getting fitter. Had a wet track the other day. I thought it was in the race.
Yeah, it's $15 with Top Sport at the moment.
Yes, I've got it a bit shorter than that. Chabau, I just sort of marked it as long as I could. I sort of understand it. I think it's going to be in need of the run. So I sort of just took it out of the market. It's a good horse. It's the best horse in the race, but it's first up for 400 and something days. And
hasn't been beaten in Australia, has it?
No, won all three starts, yeah. But it's come back off a long injury, so at its best, I would have marked it favourite. So I said just didn't want to be on it, so I've just marked it as long as I can.
Yep.
And Chapada, it ran on okay the other day behind Rupture. Didn't have much luck. It's getting fitter. It's got sort of some hope. And the bottom one was a very easy win first up at Geelong, and then it went to Sandown, but it got back on that biased track and couldn't make any ground. And I just thought third up here, stepped at 2,000. I thought it could be fitter. So I thought he'd had some hope.
That's Starcaster, is it?
Starcaster, yeah. And the other one's that Dedoo's Dart. It was heavily backed behind Rupture. And sort of ran second favourite, or might have even run favourite, and went pretty ordinary. Sort of looked to have every possible and got beat almost 6 lengths. So I've sort of rated it a bit less than what the market, sort of in between what it did and what the market thought it would do, and got it 25-1. And I see it's only 10-1, but it was sort of hard to see it sort of improving that much off its first up run to sort of make it a winning chance. So basically, I sort of thought there was 4 main chances.
Yeah, Chapada, you mentioned it's $14 for Top Sport at the moment, and Mohammedaeus $15. So
just that sort of race. I got at the moment a few horses sort of. A lot of horses 25s and 33s. It's just sort of taking up a bit of percentage. But, I like the favourite. But I didn't find the front and every possible the other day. And, was run to suit. And so even money does look short odds.
Okay. Race 8 is the handicap over the 1,400. Bit more open here. So Akinar Star, $4.20 favourite with Top Sport from Iconoclasm at $5.50, More Than Exceed and Serious Suspect are both $6.50, and Aishin Rook is $8. Who have you got on top?
So I've got Akinar Star and More Than Exceed equal favourites. At the moment, there's 6 emergencies in this race, of which one will get a run because there's one scratching at the moment. So I've just left them all in the prices at the moment. But this. So there's going to be another 5 horses scratched out of this race.
Yeah.
Makes it sort of difficult for early betting. But Akinar Star was terrific the other day at Sandown on the speed behind Buffalo Prince. Young Kid stays on it.
What do you make of Germany? He's having a bit of success.
He's he's like most of the kids. He's sort of hit and miss. On
the learning curve.
Yeah, so when they're good, and then they sort of still make some mistakes, and they just sort of, but they keep sort of, a lot of them just, they can keep improving. Like Thomas Stockdale's, he's improved his own weight in the last bit. So it's not uncommon for them to really take off and improve at some stage, and then some don't, and some go backwards. He's. I put him in just a slight negative because his strike rate's not fantastic, but that's just no negative on him. That's just the fact that So, this horse will race on the speed. And the other thing with the kids sometimes is I think people sort of forget a little bit. They're not quite as strong because they're younger and they're all light anyway. They're not quite. Sometimes they're not as strong as the senior riders.
Yep.
So in a tight finish, they might be sort of that neck to half a length, inferior to the senior rider, and that can make the difference. So, I'd put that into account a bit. It's sort of no negative on them. It's just the fact that there's other stronger riders in the race.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So I've got it favourite. Yeah, it was good second up, and it had figures similar to that in Perth. Is coming off no base, so first up it didn't do anything. So it may be a little bit flat this run, but so I haven't improved it. I've just sort of left it there. Iconoclasm, I don't know what to make of it. I sort of liked it the other day, coming off the Bendigo run, and was pretty plain. Back in trip might suit it, but he's sort of, I don't know, he's a bit of an inconsistent type horse. As good at Moonee Valley and that, so wasn't sure what to make of him. I sort of marked him long on the market. I would think off that price that he is, I would have thought he'd be a drifter. Manola Blahnik's going good. Ran well sort of a bit earlier in the prep. 1,400 suits from a reasonable draw. It's got sort of some hope at good odds.
Yeah, 17 at the moment with Top Sport.
Yeah, Serious Suspect. He's found the secret to this horse. I think he just gaps its runs. So you can sort of see here, he ran first up and had 35 days off. He gives it a jump out in between. They had 21 days off, then had 42 days off. So that run behind Wild Planet, if he can sort of run to that figure, off the map, he gets a good run. I think it's got sort of some hope. It's slightly shorter than what price I've got it, but with the percentage coming down, it'll sort of change a bit. More Than Exceed was terrific the other day. Was put on it for it, but it was the one that defied the bias by coming out wide. But as I say, the speed was on. But you can sort of see here, the majority of its wins are on wet tracks. So it was I called it a slow 7 that day. It's one on a soft 6 at Moorfield Park, one at Murray Bridge on a soft. So I thought it might be just sort of better on the wet track, and it's coming off a peak. So I've got it equal favourite, but roughly around what price it is. And then you sort of get down to Heptagon was okay first up. It's not a bad record second up, but it's an emergency at the moment. And Biometrics, an overseas horse, had a time form rating of 107, which is pretty good. So on my scale, that relates to sort of a 58, which is, say, about a half a length under what Serious Suspect can do. But it's sort of first up. But a Strawberry 16, but sort of, I put it in. I got it $19, and you sort of go to the market, it's $15. So
Yeah.
They've just put the same thing in. So it's a pretty wide open race. So it's sort of been taking as many as I could.
Yeah, Hepticon, $13. As I said, with Top Sport and Biometric, 15. So
Yeah.
the middle pinners. And the last of the day is another handicap for the 3-year-olds over the 1400. Again, fairly open. Top Sports market. B Hunter, $4.40. Final Man, $4.60. Broadway and Fourth at $5. Oriental at $6.50. Debt and Deficit at 11, and then the rest are 15-1 and longer. Where have you got the market?
So I got B Hunter favourite. It was held up and had no luck the other day, and sort of flashed home. Should have won easily. Should have won by a length and a half or something like that, or a length or something like that. Interestingly, that its sectionals were quite good, but the overall sectionals of the race were poor. The last 200, they sort of come home fairly slowly. So, but it did break. It broke 12, but it was the only horse in the race to break 12 seconds. So I think, and this race has been highlighted a bit, Cooey Rupp went to Adelaide last week and was a big drifter in the market because I think it was getting potted off the fact that it was slow sectionals, this race.
Yep.
So I could see it drifting, possibly B Hunter. I still got it favourite, but I've got it a favourite around $5, so a bit longer than the market. The toppy, it just was, it was a funny run. It's a funny race at Sandown. It just was gifted the lead and kept going, but it was sort of 1200 on soft track. Start before was the same, and the start before was 1200 on a heavy track. It's had one run on 1400, which was into the prep run last year. It got beat easily in a maiden at Sale. It was a good maiden though, but I thought that this didn't look positives here. Drier track and 1400. So I was happy coming off it. I sort of marked it $15. I'd expect it to be a big drifter personally, unless there's a savage bias to play pace. Broadway and Fourth, it's a good horse, this horse. The only problem is it just doesn't have any speed. So you can see here, settle last, settle second last, settle third last, settles last, settle second last, settles last. And it's drawn 13. So it's going to be last again. So I sort of had to penalise it for the barrier. So I've got it longer than the market. B Hunter I've got sort of just longer than the market. Oriental's a nice horse. Excuse me. Won at Pakenham first up. Good figure. Came to Flemington, sort of over-raced a bit, second up, sort of struggled, then it sort of struggled again. Then I went to a Chuka and ran behind Duke of Plumpton, which we were on at Sandown the other week, and sort of got beat through. And then as soon as we went back to Pakenham and went terrific again. So it might be something wrong with this horse, but I'm not sure, because it just sort of does as it's in a bit in and out. But if he can hold its rating, I thought it was about the right price. Stand to Attention had no hope the way the race was run at Warrnambool. He went back from the wide barrier. I thought from a better barrier here he could sit closer.
$21 Stand to Attention.
Yeah, so I've got it short on the market. Did run a terrific race here in the spring over this distance. Talented's another one. I thought it was good odds. Its first up run was terrific. Then it sort of went back at Pakenham, and then at Bendigo it ran on from last. The speed was on. It'll get back on the fence here, but if you can get sort of some clear running on, these are sort of no stars. This race, I thought it was big odds at sort of $16. I sort of got it nearly half those odds. Debt and Deficit's around what price I've got it. And yeah, that's sort of about it. Eluding, it's sort of $15. I sort of didn't have that in Maiden going very well. It won, and the last one's Honest But No Star, and sort of got in a bit longer than the market. So I sort of got basically the only sort of value I've got is sort of talented and stand to attention at the moment. Oriental's sort of nearly what price I've got it, and I've got B100 a bit longer than the market. So it'll just sort of be a wait and see what happens with the market, whether we can play or not.
Yeah, so sounds like across the day we'll be holding on to those rated prices and just waiting to see what the market does to see what we can be on towards race time.
Yeah. So as I say, there's 125, so they'll change around a bit. Betfair will get down to 101. So there's still another sort of 20% at least to come out of the market. So things can change sort of dramatically, as we saw a couple of weeks ago at Sandown when things was 7:50 in the morning and they run 280. So, it's interesting times.
For sure. All right. Well, thanks for that. Look forward to getting back to headquarters tomorrow for a few bets, and then we'll catch up on Monday and have a chat about how it all went.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.